Sorry, everyone. This was just a joke by me and the other two guys. Didn't you all enjoy it? Now, the police are about to arrive at the hotel. Pack your luggage and come down quickly. There were still some tourists in the group who echoed at the tour guide's words. They asked everyone to be more tolerant. It was just a small joke. He robbed my phone. My expression was grave. These people were likely already dead. The atmosphere in the group began to lighten. Everyone expressed that this trip was terrible and that they wanted to leave overnight. A few people accepted my friend's request. At that moment, a tourist from room 201 sent me a message. It's so scary. Did you hear the knocking sound just now? It was my brother's voice. But my brother didn't come on this trip at all. What exactly is out there? Sister, I see you with your family, right? Can I join you? Please let me come over. I'm a girl and I'm too scared. Seeing his message, I breathed a sigh of relief. At least the tourist from room 201 is still alive. I was just about to reply to him to let him come over. Then I received a friend request from a tourist in room 202. Don't believe the tourist from room 201. What do you mean? The tourist from room 201 is already gone. Didn't they also tell you he heard his brother's voice and that he needs to come to your room? But he came with his brother. I was very convinced by the tourist from room 202 short. How did he know that the tourist from room 201 came with his brother? How do you know? I asked the tourist from room 202 a question, and soon after they sent me a picture. It was a photo of the tourist from room 201 with her brother, taken in the mountains. And just before the knocking started, I heard the tourist from room 201 scream. I was right next door. The sound was clear. Suddenly, I remembered something. The tourist from room 201 had previously told me that there were monkeys outside her window. The facilities in each room of the hotel varied in quality, and I guessed that the tourist from room 201 had already died before the previous round of knocking. At that moment, the tourist from room 201 began to bombard me with messages. Sister, I am very scared alone. I'm coming. I'm at the door. Please open up. The door was being knocked on. At this moment, cold sweat trickled down my forehead. The tourist from room 202 was right. The tourist from room 201 had already met with trouble. I had never told him which room I was in. How could he know I was in room 302? Moreover, the wealthy woman and I had quietly moved from room 301 to room 302, never telling anyone. How did he know we were all in room 302? Realizing this, I tensed up all over. This meant that the Beatrice Zulu already knew we had moved to room 302. I ignored the tourists from room 201 and created a group chat for the tourists I had added, including the tourists from room 202. I told them not to trust the tour guide and not to open the door. I didn't mention the Batakshalu. I only told them that there was a murderer in the hotel. The tour guide had already been killed by the murderer. I had already called the police, and we just had to wait for them to arrive, because I wasn't sure if there were any tourists among them who were like the tourists from room 201. But I couldn't just watch them die one by one. Besides, the book said that we couldn't let the Beta Zulu eat any more people, or its power would grow stronger. By then, we might be dead before the rescue team arrived. As expected, there were many messages in the group chat. Some were skeptical, some were scared, and some thought I was in cahoots with the hotel. Joking with them, I drank a glass of water to relieve the heat on my body. I didn't have the patience to explain those things. I checked the time on my phone. The monster was about to knock on the door again. I was puzzled by why the Batakshalu, being so powerful, insisted on having people open the door of the toilet, and why it could only enter through a broken window. The time for the knocking approached, but the monster's knocking did not resume. I couldn't shake off the bad feeling. At this moment, the assistant had already prepared the potion and we all drank it. The potion could temporarily detoxify us, preventing us from being affected by hallucinations. He inspected the room, wanting to understand why the Beta Xiulu did not enter. Indeed, I found that there was a decorative object on the glass of the window and the door. Under the decorative object was a blurred incantation, and there were also a few Chinese talismans, but they were all decades old, and the incantation had lost its efficacy. Only the talismans were still effective. I found the incantation very familiar, and suddenly thought of something. I opened the ancient book and found that page. This incantation came from my ancestors. So, according to the book's records, he withdrew the incantation. My grandfather must have hidden here before. The time for the monster to knock on the door came, but the knocking did not sound. Only the small group was actively discussing what had happened. I silently watched the messages in the group. I had made it so clear. If there were still people who didn't listen, there was nothing I could do. After 10 minutes, the tour guide sent a message in the group. The police have arrived, come out now. Many people responded in the group. We're already packed and ready to go. Some tourists remained skeptical. Has the road really cleared so quickly? When did the police become so fast? The tour guide immediately replied, the local police are very responsible. Tourists who need to continue up the mountain can stay. But with the continuous rain, there may be a larger landslide. Hearing that the police had arrived, most people in the group soon agreed and wanted to leave. The tourists from room 201 even sent me a message. Let's go, the road really has cleared. I know you were scared, so you didn't open the door. But I assure you I am really human. I didn't triply and opened another small G or OUP. Some tourists remain skeptical. It's so eerie. Last time I broke my leg at the foot of the mountain. The police arrived a day later. I want to leave. Who would dare to impersonate the police? I don't believe it. Can they handle it so quickly? I'm not leaving. The tour guide's words are strange. Who knows who is speaking for the tour guide? 8 minutes later, the tour guide notified everyone in the big dog group. The police are already waiting below. Those who don't come in 5 minutes will be left behind, no matter how people question in the group. The tour guide remained silent. I hurried to the window. Outside was pitch black. Nothing could be seen. I asked the other three, and they said they saw nothing either. But the reactions in the group seemed fed up rant. I took out another packet of powder and swallowed it. This powder could nullify the effect of the potion I had just drunk. I wanted to see what illusion the Beta Xiulu had created this time. Indeed, as soon as I stepped out, the scene changed. Police cars were lit up. Police and tourists were chatting at the Dudaldar. The safe lights from the police cars seemed to be beckoning to the tourists who hadn't arrived. Yet, more and more people in the small group began to waver. This trip has been terrible. Everyone else is leaving, I'm going too. Yeah, let's go, let's go. I'm not going. I still want to finish the trip. I can't end it like this. My brother is missing and hasn't been ever done. I'm not leaving. The tourist from room 202 and I kept persuading those who wanted to leave. But still some people went out. I drank the potion again and looked out the dark window. The moment I saw outside, my blood rushed back, and I stiffened all over. In the open space in front of the hotel, there was only a tall human-shaped shadow. A tourist ran up from the hotel entrance. Before getting close, he was grabbed by the neck with a single hand. The man's head tilted, and he collapsed limply on the ground. This must be the Beta Xiulu. It suddenly looked up, going towards our direction, revealing its sharp eyes, teeth stained with blood. I quickly pulled the curtain shut. My heart was pounding in my chest. This monster might be stronger than I imagined. I counted the number of survivors. Besides the 4 of us, the tourists from room 202, and 2 others in the group who didn't want to leave, there were a total of 7 people still alive. The big group was quiet, no one spoke. Probably the Beta Xiulu knew he couldn't trick anyone out anymore and was thinking of other ways. I handed the self-defense dagger and stick to the assistant and the wealthy woman and her child. The Beta Xiulu might force its way in next. It had become powerful enough. And there was also a group of hairy monkeys. I sent a separate message to the tourist from room 202 and the other 2 tourists. I told them to be careful and reinforce the doors and windows. Finally, I sent them the pattern of the defensive talisman. Whether they believed in us or used to wish their choice, we enjoyed the wait, with more than 3 hours left until sunrise. When the four of us were drowsy and about to fall asleep, a violent banging sound came from outside the window. Those monkeys holding knives and sticks bared their teeth and smiled as they continuously struck the window. Although the glass was tempered, it was old and poorly maintained, and the window was about to be shattered. This window would inevitably be broken open. When that happened, but actually would come in, it was better to take the initiative and attack while there were still few monkeys. It would be more dangerous if the monkeys multiplied. My attention was entirely focused on the window. I drew talismans, set up formations, lit candles, sprinkled powder, and directed an ancient mirror towards the outside. When the monkeys were illuminated by the ancient mirror, they stiffened and fell down. The monkeys that were hit by the ancient mirror all fell down. As more and more monkeys appeared, I knew that the ancient mirror had a limited capacity to imprison souls and could indulge out for long. Those monkeys were clever, taking advantage of my distraction. In attacking another group of monkeys, they began to fiercely strike the adjacent window. With a crack sound, the window shattered. Fortunately, the hole was small. The monkeys couldn't swarm in all at once. I pulled out a stick and, like whacking mouse, struck them fiercely on their heads. A monkey sneaked in, raised a knife, and aimed to stab the assistant in the back. Be careful. At the critical moment, the son of the wealthy woman gave the monkey a hack with a stick. The monkey was knocked out. More and more monkeys appeared. The ancient mirror also became less effective due to overload. Our group's physical strength was greatly depleted. We all had injuries, big and small. I leaned against the wall, gasping for breath. At that moment, a monkey bared its sharp teeth and lunged at me. I quickly dodged to the side, barely avoiding it. No, it wasn't aiming for me. It was trying to open the door behind me. Quick! Stop that monkey. At this moment, the only one close to the door was the female billionaire. She picked up a stick and swung and jeered at the monkey. The monkey let out an and fell to the ground. Just as we breathed a sigh of relief, the monkey suddenly got up and rushed towards the door. It had been feigning death. With a faint click sound, the sound of the door opening reached my ears. This is bad. The damn monkey has opened the door. I took 3 steps at once to the door and pushed it forcefully forward. I couldn't push it open. It seemed like there was a tremendous US force outside resisting the door. Through the crack of the door, I met a pair of blood-red eyes. It was eerily bent over, tilting its head and staring straight at me. I grabbed a handful of medicinal powder from my pocket and threw it at the terrifying face outside. The door was shut, and at the same time, an enraged roar from Beta Zulu came from outside. Then came the heavy sound of the door being rammed. More of the pungent green gas seeped in through the door crack. I handed the powder to the female billionaire and her son, instructing them to guard the window. My assistant and I dealt with Beta Zulu outside the door. The sound of the door being rammed grew heavier. I nodded to my assistant. The timing was right. The door was suddenly opened, but Taxalo was about to ram the door again. As it stepped into the doorway, it was repelled by a huge force. A large hole was smashed into the hotel wall. When we first entered the hotel, I had my assistant draw a spirit array on the floor by the door that could absorb the monster's power. The more power the monster used, the more it absorbed. At the same time, another array inside the door was drawn to reflect the power back. So whatever force Beta Zulu used to ram the door, it was reflected back onto itself. Beta Zulu was clever and knew we were difficult to defeat, so it went to attack the other 3 people. The monkeys also retreated, and the female billionaire and her son collapsed on the ground, gasping for breath. My assistant was anxious, wanting to help the other 3. I stopped him and pointed out the window. The golden edge of the mountain appeared, and the sun was about to rise. Suddenly, the female billionaire burst into tears. She had realized that her husband could not possibly be alive. Could my husband's body be found? I nodded but extended 2 fingers. It can be done, but it's dangerous and will cost extra, along with the service to eliminate Beta Zulu. The female billionaire immediately took out some case from her bag and handed me a signed note. I happily accepted it and quickly took out a glass bottle containing a hornet. I opened the bottle and the hornet flew out, heading towards the outside of the hotel. When we first entered the hotel room, my assistant and I had sprinkled skunk spotter gland powder on the door. Only by touching this powder could a specially trained hornet find us. Soon we followed the hornet to every hidden cave. The surrounding vegetation was lush and damp, with no sunlight making it very eerie. At this moment, the monkeys were huddled together, and Batuxulu was sleeping above them. There were also many clothes found and human bones around. I took out 5 packets of white phosphorus and carefully sprinkled them on Batuxulu and the monkeys with my assistant. After exiting the cave, I took out a matchbox and ignited the white phosphorus. Instantly, the cave was filled with fire and the roars of the monkeys and Batuxulu, where the monkeys also burned to death. The son of the wealthy woman feels some reluctance. I sighed and told him earnestly. These monkeys were already dead. Their skins were just worn by the little Batuxulu. I took out a new bottle from my backpack, inside which was a black beetle. I poured it onto the female billionaire's husband's clothes. The beetle, familiar with the scent, flew up. Following the direction of the beetle, we soon found the female billionaire's SPA.ND and the bodies of his fellow travelers. We dialed 911 to explain the situation and waited at the site for the police. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the police finally arrived. According to the address we sent, we were taken to the police station, and since all the deceased died from being misled by wild animals, along with the testimonies of the other 3 tourists, we were released after making a statement at the police station. Under our watch, the female billionaire, supported by her son, boarded a private plane with great sorrow.